It was the year 2000 when the second installment of the now world-famous Mission Impossible franchise saw its release. That film marked the real beginning of Tom Cruise evolving from an actor who occasionally starred in thrillers into a full-blown action hero. Also, the John Woo flick itself set a new standard for film stunts, which of course are all done by Tom himself.
I love what I do. I love showing up on the set and working with the writers and the directors and the other actors. And there's a thrill and an exhilaration of working, an 18-hour day and knowing you've done good work and you feel very proud of yourself for that. But I want to make great films. That's what I'm interested in.
Yes, Cruise is notorious for his hard work on set. The actor goes to great lengths to get the perfect shot. He'd already shown in the first Mission Impossible, which was directed by Brian De Palma, that he isn't afraid to go all the way and even get hurt.
I kept falling and smacking my head on the floor. I just couldn't balance it. I mean, physically, I just couldn't do it. After we'd spent probably all of the morning, we went into a late lunch to try to get this shot. And I'll never forget, I'm telling you, I dropped down, and I'm just hanging there and hanging. I don't want to give it away, but I'm hanging there and hanging there and hanging there. And it worked. And Brian just left me hanging there just to get we had 3 different cameras going. And finally he said, okay, cut. And I just went, whoa, that it was a great feeling though when you got it, and Brian came over and gave me a hug and said, all right, man, let's go,
The mission for Tom, and he's definitely chosen to accept it, is to set the bar higher and higher with every new release in the series. Take the helicopter scene in Mission Impossible Fallout. It could easily have been filmed in a studio or with a professional stunt double, but like we said, the actor isn't afraid to put in the work. So he did the most obvious thing, learned to fly a helicopter and risked his life doing the shot himself. But of course that wasn't enough. Ever heard of a high-altitude low-opening jump? Called a halo jump for short, it's an extremely dangerous skydive from an airplane, which requires the jumper to wear a special suit and helmet just to breathe. Cruise, of course, decided he should be the first actor to do one on camera. Leaping from a height of over 25,000 feet, the star naturally nailed it.
It's the most practical action I think ever shot in any film in the history of films, actually. When we added up the most practical, we were pushing it. We didn't really kind of think about it until we looked at the movie and thought, what? Look at how many things we've done.
For Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Tom did another crazy thing. In the opening section of the film, his character needs to stop a cargo plane from taking off. He fails to do so, and the plane is speeding up the runway. So he does the only sensible thing, jumping onto the outside of the plane and trying to hang on as it flies away. All for real.
Sometimes some of these things that I'm doing, I'll train for years. There's stuff when you see Mission that I trained for a couple of years for a specific sequence. So we just do everything we can to make it it is a stunt. There's danger involved, a lot of danger sometimes, but we do the best we can.
And these are only some examples of stunts the actor's done for the franchise. We haven't even mentioned the cliff climbing at Utah's Dead Horse Point, the most insane motorcycle chases you'll ever see,
1, 2, 3.
underwater scenes where Tom learned to hold his breath for over 6 minutes, and scaling the Burj Khalifa for real.
He kind of set a tone and a standard for what this movie is, and his work ethic is unlike anything I've ever seen. I work hard as well, and it was tough to keep up with.
But it isn't only in Mission Impossible that Cruise is willing to go to insane lengths. For the sci-fi spectacle Edge of Tomorrow, the actors had to wear a real armored suit, which made it very difficult to move.
I wanted the characters to be real, I wanted the world to be real, I wanted the suits of armor to be real. Seemed like a good idea at the beginning. Then once we had built the suits and we started working with them, I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst idea ever. They're so heavy, they're so cumbersome, they slow everything down, the actors are in pain. I mean, Tom would never show that, but everybody else showed it.
I cried the first time I put the suit on because I knew that it was going to be months of this, and I was so overwhelmed by how heavy it was, and so Tom just tried to make me laugh, so called me a wuss.
The 2017 blockbuster The Mummy featured a lot of special effects and explosions, but for this film, Tom also did an epic weightless scene in a plane. It was shot 64 times over 2 days, with the crew vomiting between takes. The actor, though, didn't break a sweat. Tom Cruise has been the established action star of Hollywood for over 20 years now and shows no signs of slowing down. It doesn't matter if he's doing crazy fight scenes, pulling 8 Gs in a fighter jet for Top Gun Maverick, or driving a motorcycle off a ramp into a ravine at full speed in his newest Mission Impossible chapter, Dead Reckoning Part 1, it's only a small sign of what he's capable of. Tom Cruise comes second to no one in his commitment and dedication.
There's a lot of challenges, driving that motorcycle down that ramp, not getting blown off of the ramp by that motorcycle, making sure that as I jump off the ramp, that I can't open my parachute too soon, because that's the shot. And then when I open it, to make sure that I'm not turning into the side of the mountain, I'm landing in the landing zone. And I'm acting. And there's performance. So there was a lot going on in those moments, in those very few seconds.